Marlee Matlin, you directed the episode Ava's Story from the anthology series Accused. Now, you're primarily known for your work as an actor. Is directing something that you've always been interested in?
Directing has always been in the back of my mind. I guess ever since I started working as an actor, really. When I began, I had to really pay attention to everything that was going on the set. The fact that all of the preparation as an actor and being on the set involved watching everyone, seeing everybody's job. But working with a director was my favorite thing to do, because as an actor, obviously, I need to be directed. I need to be able to work, and I have thoughts and they have thoughts. But yeah, directing, it was always there. And back then I thought, well, wait a minute, how is a deaf person going to direct? Is that possible even? Because the fact that there are communication barriers, and I'm talking about 30 years ago. And as time went on and the years went by, I began to understand, well, wait a minute, it is possible to direct. It does not matter whether you're deaf or not. It's just a matter of knowing and being aware of what a director has to do, knowing and using your creative mind, knowing and using what you see. And so I took the moment to step into the directing chair, and I am so happy that I did.
And what made you choose this particular project? What stood out to it for you that made you want to direct this story?
Well, when I was offered the job from Howard Gordon, of course, he's the showrunner, and I knew that he was great. Then he presented the script from Marlee Matlin. And when the team reached out to me and said, look, we have a script and we have a producer, and let's have a conversation on Zoom. And the one thing that really brought me on board, and I knew that I hit the jackpot, was the story itself, which had both hearing and deaf characters in it. It was about an authentic story about a deaf woman and the experiences that she went through. And I knew immediately that I was in the right place, because the script, the story, and my gut told me, and I began to imagine and envision all the scenes. It was just a perfect coming together of everything for me to make my directing debut.
And what's it like to work with deaf actors in the cast, and to be able to communicate with them as a deaf director and to give them that level of comfort?
You know, all the years that I've been working mostly with hearing actors, obviously, it's usually been a whole hearing crew. Everybody on the set is hearing, and I got accustomed to that, obviously. There were never any, I mean, I would have interpreters, there were the means to facilitate communication with full access. But now when working with deaf actors, working together was probably something I've never experienced before, because it was 100% accessible communication wise. And directing them was, they got to the point where they said that they were directed for the first time. There were no barriers there. We were able to, I was able to observe them at work, watch their creative process, bring out different aspects of their emotions and whatever it was that they needed for the character. And at the end of the day, it was the same as it would be if I was a hearing person working with a hearing director. A lot of times I would say, when I work with the hearing actors, let me connect directly with them without using an interpreter, because I can speak and I can understand, and I know the experience as an actor. I know what processes they're going through. And it was one of the many things that was so fun to be able to, well, one in particular, was to be able to watch them work, to really focus on a character. It was just amazing. And at the end of the day, it was great working with everybody, the crew. We also had a deaf crew on board, and it all came together seamlessly. It was a beautiful experience to witness, and it was a great experience for me.
Now, this episode tells the story of a deaf woman on trial for kidnapping the child that she carried as a surrogate. So we're learning a lot about surrogacy and what it's like to raise a deaf child. Like, how much research went into it, and how much did you know about this kind of subject matter already going into this episode?
I actually had no idea about the topic of surrogacy, the processes that one has to go through to be a surrogate. All I knew is that you have to have already had a child yourself. You've had to birth a child in order to have one on behalf of someone else. What was unique about Ava's story was it was about a woman who happened to be deaf, who happened to be carrying a child, knowing that whatever she would earn from the surrogacy would help her go through college. And it just so happened that the couple that she birthed the baby for, that baby was deaf, not because of the surrogate, but because whatever the couple carried. And it turned out that the mother, the surrogate, had deafness in her family. So you would think that because the surrogate was deaf, the child would be deaf. That's not the reason at all. It was because of the fact that the mother who was asking the surrogate to birth her baby had deafness in her family. There was there's lots of things in your family, in your background that you don't know. And this happened to be one of them that we brought to the story. And I understood the fear of Ava and how she saw the hearing parents' decision to raise this child who was deaf. The fact that they were going to be doing things that weren't they were doing things that were controversial, particularly in the deaf world, by giving the child a cochlear implant at a very young age, hoping that it would be a miracle that she would suddenly hear. And that's not how it works. And, when you have a cochlear implant, it may work for some, it may not work for a lot of others, but those with cochlear implants, at the end of the day, when you take it off at night, when you go to bed, you're still deaf. But the point of the story is that the young deaf woman was fearful of the fact that the hearing couple would not give their child the language that's so important, American Sign Language, to expose her to that. And it really became a life decision because a lot of deaf children are language deprived. And her experience, the surrogate's experience of growing up language deprived, she fought on behalf of the child that she birthed because she felt that they were going to language deprive her as well. So that's why she did what she did by kidnapping the baby.
And coming into this as a director, what was your favorite aspect of the directing process?
Bottom line is, I learned to look at a set in a completely different way. I learned that every crew member is as equally as important as everyone else. They are there to make your job easier, to make your show look good. And my favorite part was working in pre-production. So much fun. It's like painting, it's like you're creating a piece of artwork, putting it all together, and location scouting, wardrobe. I mean, it was the opportunity to work with every single person and make sure that, like just paying a visit to the offices that in the production office. It was so exciting to see how one script can come to life, one word in a script can come to life as a result of all these people working together. As an actor, as a director, watching the actors working, watching them doing their job, I loved working with them, listening to them, and communicating with them. It was just a lot of fun. The creative process, the improvisation that we did. At the end of the day, I wanted a fun set, and I believe that we accomplished that. So many favorite things on the set, so many. It was all amazing, and I'm very grateful too.
Is directing something that you think you'll continue to pursue?
I'd love to direct. I'd love to direct if they'll have me. And I plan to. I mean, I want to learn so much more about the camera, the lenses, how to light properly, the costume, the costuming that goes on to making the story the way you want to make it. And I just happen to tell my story through my eyes. I look forward to it.
Well, congratulations on your work on Accused, and I look forward to seeing more from you as a director.
Thank you. Thank you.